What's up, guys? It's Celeste, and if you're watching this, you've probably already heard about what the Trump administration has done regarding trans students and bathrooms in schools. So first I'm going to go into what this actually is, and keep in mind I'm not a lawyer or a law scholar or anything like that, so this is just my kind of basic understanding as a layperson, but I think I have a fairly good handle on this, so hopefully this will be informative to any of you who don't really understand what this is all about. Essentially, in 1972, President Nixon signed into law a series of amendments called the Education Amendments of 1972, appropriately. A portion of that was called Title IX, and the content of Title IX, or like the main content of Title IX, is no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So, obviously at the time that this was signed into law, this was really about cis women and girls having access to the same kinds of resources and facilities and programs that cis male students were given access to. For example, sports and extracurricular activities and other resources and stuff that the school would provide. In 2014, the Obama administration put out some guidelines that basically said that sex discrimination includes gender identity, so it will include transgender students and gender nonconforming students. So it is not just about cis women and girls, but about discrimination of any kind toward anyone of any sex or gender. So what Obama did not change any laws. The law was already there. It was essentially an interpretation of the law, and it was the Obama administration basically making a statement saying that we see gender identity and transgender students as being valid and, something that is worth not discriminating against, that it's on equal ground as any other kind of gender discrimination that you would face in a school. So now what the Trump administration has done is rescind those guidelines. So just as the Obama administration's guidelines did not actually change the law, neither does the Trump administration's guidelines. It doesn't change anything legally, really. What it basically does is say that the federal government no longer interprets that law as being protective of transgender students. It basically says that schools and states can do whatever they want, and the federal government is not going to do anything to step in and protect those students as it previously did under the Obama administration over the last 3 years. So while the law did not change, the tone and the message that the administration is sending is very clearly that they are not on the side of trans students or really trans people in general, because this kind of stuff, this whole bathroom bill thing, it's not really just about bathrooms. It's not just about public bathrooms. It's not just about trans students. It's about seeing trans people as valid and, worthy of the same kind of rights as anybody else. It's a method of othering trans people and, basically saying that we are different, that we shouldn't have the same rights and we shouldn't have the same facilities as other people. I've seen some people responding to all of this kind of stuff with things like, I don't hate trans people, but I don't think that they should use the same bathrooms as us. They should have their own bathroom and things like that. And while I do absolutely think that schools and all public places should have gender-neutral bathrooms available, seeing that as the solution to everything will just put trans students in their own bathroom. That completely fundamentally misunderstands what this is about. It's about trans people being othered and alienated and isolated. It's about kids in school, which is already, an experience where being different or being othered is a very traumatic experience in a lot of cases, even without outright bullying. It just makes that much worse, and it basically makes these students feel like their school isn't really looking out for them and sees them as an inconvenience or something to hide away, or basically just sees them as not on the same level as their peers. So to tell a trans student who identifies as male that they need to use a bathroom other than the male bathroom is telling them that they're not male, or they're not as male as their cis male peers or other students. which is, you know, not the message that we should be sending to trans kids. So that's why this is so important, because like I said, it's not just about bathrooms. It's about making trans people feel like we are not valued as much, or we're not seen as human or as American as other people. So I feel like that this is going to be happening more and more, where there's going to be this backlash against trans people, and, you know, trying to stuff us back into the closet, try to stuff us back into the former reality that these people knew, where they didn't have to think about trans people. I feel like most of the people who are in support of bills like this and guidelines like this that try to other trans people just fundamentally don't understand what it means to be trans or what the trans experience is like. That's why I feel like education and visibility are so important. So I hope that in some small way, at least, that what I'm doing here and in my life is somehow going to help move the culture along and, you know, help more people understand that trans people are just normal people like anybody else that just want to live our lives and just want to go about our day. And trans students just want to go to school like everybody else and use the same facilities as everybody else, use the facilities that make them feel comfortable. And those students have a right to feel comfortable at school, just like all the other students. So if there are any trans kids watching this, I want you to know first and foremost that you are not alone in how you're feeling or in your experience, but also in this fight, because there are a lot of people like myself, as well as lots and lots of cis people who are going to be willing to fight for you on this particular issue, but also in other trans issues and other gender identity issues. And if anybody tries to make you feel like your gender identity is not valid, or that you are not worthy of the same rights and acceptance and love as anybody else, they're wrong. And you already have the love and acceptance of me and so many other people. If you're watching this and you're cis, I really encourage you to be there for trans people, for trans kids especially. They need you to be looking out for them. They need you to speak up when you see situations where they're not being treated fairly, and they need you to value them and make them feel like they're worth just as much as every other kid out there, because they are. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my future content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.